It was billing something like 20 grand a month. Basically, it was like 750K in revenue if I closed it, and which basically meant I was going to get a fat paycheck. First, let's say 2 years, it just felt like I was bleeding money and failure, and just kind of kept pivoting until I found like somebody who was like, well, we need this. And when that hit, I immediately turned around and just sold the crap out of it, basically. The Fortune 500 for like the last 30 years has been outsourcing to the Philippines. Just now it's coming mainstream. They've been getting the talent for like pennies on the dollar. They're just as good, if not better, than any of the American employees. So what happened was I think we spent $75 in total on that ad and made something like $1,000 a month in reoccurring revenue. If you just never quit, eventually it'll work. Once I found what I would call product market fit, it went crazy. It was like all of a sudden now my life is easy. So I took it from 75K, I think it's doing like 150K now or something like that. Nothing crazy. I mean, honestly, still really small. I think it has the most potential of anything I've ever touched.
Welcome back to another episode of the Drop Playbook. So we've got a very special guy today. I've been basically like fanboying everything that you've been doing for the past, it's been a while ever since I met you. And it's been I think a couple of years now, almost 2, I think, over those Lemlist masterminds where you were one of the more intriguing guys on the in the club, and like you were doing some fun things. So to cut things short and let you just do the intro, Spencer, please go ahead.
Yeah, happy to be here. Name is Spencer Scott. I run now 3 software companies that are totally bootstrapped, and I have some rental houses. That's about it.
Yeah.
And so basically a sales guy first, and fell into software as a service, and then kind of just ran with it.
Yeah. Well, it's not just those things. Like the fact that you're actually running 2 and now 3 SaaS companies, almost 100% solo, that's something really impressive. And in addition to that, it's like the moment I met you, you just bought 1 company. And I think you seller financed it or something like that. I want to hear all about that. And I was just like, wow, okay, how does this actually work? Who is this guy? Why does he run 2 companies? And now I'm just gonna like, how are you running even the 3rd one? So that's really, really impressive. And it's also like you have a sales background, so I want to kind of dive deeper into that as well. But like it's not that simple, and I really admire the things that you're doing. So let's just kind of dive into the moment when I met you. Like I mentioned, it was right about when you bought Median, while you were running Loup, right?
Yep.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit more about Loup, and then we can go into Median?
Yeah. So I get stuck rambling, so if I start rambling, make sure you cut me off. But
100%.
long story short, I was working enterprise sales for Vonage, and I had a customer who basically said they needed an integration with like a PCI compliant data center. Vonage said they wouldn't do it because, like all good software companies, you build once and you sell it 1,000 times. You don't do one-to-one. That's just custom development. But it was billing something like 20 grand a month. Basically, it was like 750K in revenue if I closed it, and which basically meant I was going to get a fat paycheck. And so at the time, when Vonage told me no, they wouldn't build the thing that the customer needed. The customer reached out to me and said, "Hey, if you build it, or if anyone builds it," basically they said, "Can you refer someone who can build this, and we'll sign up for you?" So then I went on the hunt, and I kind of knew no one was it wasn't something that was like already offered because it was custom. So long story short, I was like, well, I'll build it. And so I went onto a website called Elance, which ended up getting acquired by Upwork, hired a developer, and fired up basically a AWS environment that connected their PCI compliant data center to Vonage. So they could do things like click to call, screen pops, call logging, basically pretty entry level telephony stuff that could all just be triggered via API.
Mm.
And I did that. It cost, I think, a couple grand. It was pretty terrible. There was like no user interface, but like it just had to do what they asked it to do. So long story short, they signed up and I got that fat commission check. And then like the next month, I got like a bill from AWS and I was like, oh my gosh, like I guess I have to keep paying for this because they're using it. And I didn't sell them on like a monthly recurring service. I don't believe. Long story short, I keep saying that, but I was like thrown backwards into the software business. And so I wanted to recoup some of the money that I had invested. And so I tried selling it to other companies. They didn't buy it.
Selling it as in selling the actual like software. Like I don't.
Yeah, so like I took the software, and since it was built on the APIs, I was like, oh, I could just connect this to other APIs, and I can just keep selling this. And so I tried to sell it to other customers, but the problem was they wouldn't buy it because it wasn't connected to their phone system. And so that's when I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to connect it to just like one phone system that has a ton of customers and then go after their customers. Anyways, it didn't end up working out. And what I ended up doing was pivoting the company into being like a wholesale software company. So instead of selling to customers, I started selling it to like Vonage's competitors, like other VoIP providers. And they started signing up for it left and right like crazy. And then, why? Because they didn't have it and they wanted it, and Vonage, like, and their customers were asking for it, right? Yeah. And so I basically created like a wholesale software company where we would wholesale or white label is kind of the term, and we basically took one app that does one, two, or three things, and then I've resold it something like 200 times, and basically that over like, let's call it the last 3 to 5 years. So just like for the first, let's say 2 years, it just felt like I was bleeding money and failure, and just kind of kept pivoting until I found like somebody who was like, well, we need this. And when that hit, I immediately turned around and just sold the crap out of it, basically.
Nice. So you were at around like 100 customers or something like that?
Yeah, we're closer to 200 customers on that platform, and then we charge anywhere from like $100 to $200 a month, and then we do some custom dev work on the side. So that company will do anywhere from probably 400 to 500K this year. And then the expenses are low. It's basically like an AWS environment. So
yeah, and then I guess
you mentioned that I did it all alone. I mean, I'm the only employee, but like I have contract teams in India, Pakistan, and Singapore for the development. And then I did hire this year an SDR out of the Philippines who like does outbound reach for us. So
how's that working?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I would tell everyone to do that. Yeah, because what happens is like, one, I pay $6.50 an hour. I pay $1,000 a month. Yeah. And the first month I had her, actually the first week I had her on the team, I gave her the CRM and said, here's all the people who started signing up or like saw demos, but then didn't sign up. I was like, can you follow up with these people? And she closed 7 deals like the first week by like just emailing them and just follow up. And that I wasn't doing because I just was busy, and I was just helping the people who were like immediately like, hey, I want to sign up. Those were the people I'd help. I didn't do any like nurturing. And so when I hired her, I gave her that list, and she signed up I think 7, and those 7 customers billed $200 a month. So she paid for her entire year's salary in the first week, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And so since then, I've expanded her into actually running 2 of the companies now. And so, which has been awesome because now I can focus on other things.
Is she a freelancer or part of one of those outsourcing nearshoring companies
No, she's
platforms?
both. So I hired her
Yeah.
from a friend who DM'd me on Twitter. Like I got literally a guy I met on Twitter. His name is Callum.
Mm.
We've been friends probably as long as you and I have been friends. And he goes, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting a placement agency. Would you be interested in hiring someone out of the Philippines?" I said, "Heck yeah."
Oh yeah.
Um, and then he started that company. It's called getagents.co. And basically, you tell him what he wants, and he'll find like 6 people who are awesome at that job with like bachelor's degrees,
Nice.
pre-interview them for you, and then you just pop in and hire them if you want, and you only pay if you hire them. So
That's super
he
cool.
got me. Her name is Mikey. And in return, I left him a testimonial because he was starting the company. And now that company is great. He's got a crazy story. He might be someone you should talk to.
Nice.
His first month in business, he did I think 15K. His second month in business, he did 30K, and his third month in business, he did 75K
That's
with that
insane.
company.
Hold on. What's that? What's the business model like?
So what happens is, like, let's say you want to hire someone out of the
Right.
Philippines. They cost 12 grand a year, basically speaking,
Okay.
$1,000 a month. If you hire someone, you pay him 25% of their annual salary. So call it 3 grand.
All right.
So every time he places someone, he gets like a 3 grand check.
Okay.
And so you can kind of work backwards to like how you don't have to do that many deals at 3 grand to like get to 75K.
True.
And that's the crazy part. He's got no marketing. It's like word of mouth. So like he helped me. I'll tweet about it. I tweeted about it, and 2 publicly traded companies signed up for his service. And like they hire more than one person, right?
That's
so there's
right.
like 1, 2, 3. And so yeah.
Good for him.
It's been cool watching him grow that.
Nice. I want to ask you about that some more. And here's the reason. It seems like these types of services are really blowing up. I know that Jesse Puggi, I don't know if you're familiar with the guy. He's been more active on LinkedIn recently, and like he's been with Alex Lieberman on his podcast and whatever. And like this guy launched a similar company that's like, you know, outsourcing, I think somewhere Southeast Asia. Then there's, I think, Shepherd. I think the MFM guys keep talking.
Well, so
right?
Yeah, I know them actually personally because
Yeah.
I'm in Hampton. I'm in Sam Pars, Hampton.
All right.
And so Jesse's in there, and Marshall Haas is in there, and Sean Purry's in there. And yeah, so Jesse had like a business friend, a girl, create an agency, and she's like got 3 employees, and that one's doing like millions, like 3 million, I think. And then Marshall Haas created Support Shepherd, and you know he's actually down the road from me, and he, that one's going really crazy. Like that one, I think that one's doing like 30 mil or something.
Shit.
Crazy.
That's really crazy.
And it's like a bootstrapped company, right? Like, and it did that in like 2 years.
There we go. I mean, okay, all of these folks are, I think, like if not serial entrepreneurs, then like at least have a bunch of experience running companies before. But still, this business model, and like it seems like it's really picking up speed, and it's already. I mean, like we've got so many companies that are just making insane amounts of revenue, like outsourcing to the Philippines or whatever.
It's genius because what happens is, like, if you go to the Philippines, this is what I've been told. I haven't been. But if you go to the Philippines and just like walk down like their, let's call it downtown, all these tower buildings say like Microsoft, Google, and basically like it's been like, I don't want to call it a secret, but like the Fortune 500 for like the last 30 years has been outsourcing to the Philippines for like support and just various things. And so like just now it's coming mainstream where it's like, hey, by the way, these guys have been kind of cheating for years. Like they've been getting the talent for like pennies on the dollar. Yeah. And then the reality of it is they're just as good, if not better, than any of the American employees. They speak perfect English. They've got, you know, bachelor's and master's degrees.
Amazing.
And if you hire them, it's not like you're taking advantage or anything like that. They're literally, when you hire them, they become the richest people in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
Because like the cost of living and salary and everything out there is so low. And so the only trade-off for them is just like having to stay up insane hours because, you know, the time difference.
But they're willing to do that.
Yeah, and they're paid for it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. And like they love their jobs. It's like a different mentality or like thought process or like a loyalty, right? It's not like, oh, I'm gonna switch. Like they will work until they're fired. Like,
so how many folks have you hired through this service?
I've only hired one because the first one I hired was awesome.
Do they guarantee on the quality of the people, or is it just like,
no?
Here's the
so
person?
What happens is like it's on you. So what he'll do is like what Callum will do is like I told him I wanted an SDR. So like he goes, all right, give me a month. I give him a month. He finds 6 SDRs that had worked at Fortune 500 companies for a minimum of 3 years. Ooh. So they're smarter than any SDR that I could ever hire because they've already done it for years. And then he gets on and interviews them, like, and vets out the bad ones. So like if they don't speak English good or whatever your requirements are, maybe you don't need that. And he like does a little bit of culture stuff and whatever you want. And then he basically puts 6 interviews. He put 6 interviews on my calendar and said, interview these people. And I felt kind of stupid because I was like, Callum, I thought you were just going to be like, hey, check out these people. And then like, I was going to have to do all the work. I'm like, this is insane. So like he sent me biographies on all of them and what he liked and what he didn't like. And even before the call, I'm like, I don't know what to ask him because you've already asked them all the questions. I'm like, these people are all perfect. All 6 of them on paper were perfect. And I was like, so I was like, Callum, this is going to sound stupid. I'm like, what do I do here? And he's like, dude, what you're looking for is a culture fit. Like, do you want to work with this person all day, every day? Yeah. And I was like, all right. So I just got on and talked to them. They're all SDRs. They love talking. They're great at sales. I was like, this is terrible. These are just more people like me. I was like, I want to hire all of them. And so then he was like, well, did one of them stand out? Or did like one of them go above and beyond? And Mikey, the one I ended up hiring, went to somehow found like our YouTube and watched all the videos. So she knew what the product did before the interview.
That's impressive.
And like how she would sell it. And I was like, all right, you win. And that's how I hired her.
That's impressive. And that's a lesson in like interviewing anyhow, like regardless of where you are actually, because like she just did everything by the book. That's really perfect. Yeah, amazing. So, I love it. I think we kind of took a detour here towards like outsourced SDRs, but I love this. All right. So that's the situation. So you hired her before you had Median?
No, so I hired her. So in that time from right before we met, so 2 years ago, I bought Median off of, at the time, was a tiny company called MicroAcquire that I learned about on a website called Indie Hackers. And some guy basically posted like, hey, I just made 20 grand. He goes, selling a company that made no revenue and had no code. And the reality was he sold an email list of people who were interested in call whatever, X thing. And somebody paid him 20 grand for it. And I'm like, what is MicroAcquire? That sounds awesome. So I go on MicroAcquire and sign up. At the time, it was free. And it was run by one guy named Andrew Gazdecki. And they were just like micro businesses. Like I wouldn't even call them businesses. A lot of them weren't even revenue generating. And so I subscribed to the newsletter and I was getting these. And eventually one popped up and said call center app. And so I was like, okay, this is awesome because I can add this to Loup today and just upsell my existing customer base. Like I could probably buy it for X and double it overnight because I can just sell it because I already have the customers. I'm like, this is cheating.
Were you able to?
So I get on the call with the guys who are selling Median and it's all under NDA. So like you didn't know, like at the time I didn't know what the company's name was or anything.
Wow.
So then I get on and they show me and I was like, this is not a call center app. It had nothing to do with call centers. It's basically, and if you guys don't know or anyone who's listening to this doesn't know, it is the world's creepiest app. Basically, it's called Median Co-Browse. and it allows you to see every single person who comes to your website. When I say see, you can see where their mouse is at. You can watch them scroll on mobile desktop. It's like Hotjar or Full Story if it was a live feed. And then what gets even creepier is you can actually join them without doing any downloads or installs. You can just pop on, and you can even turn on your video and talk to them through the website. And so I was like, this is insane.
It's insane.
And I was like, I gotta have it. Kind of, you know how like you emotionally fall in love with something.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta have it. We start we agree to a purchase price before we even started anything, any of the due diligence. That purchase price was $280K. And so basically with that, and I always tell people like I'm an idiot because
was it making money?
Yeah, it was making money. So it was here's how I looked at it. So I had owned some real estate.
Right.
And a real estate deal, if you buy a house, call it $280K, right?
Yeah.
You're lucky if you buy a rental house for $280K, you're lucky if it makes $2,800 a month. That would be in real estate a home run. This thing was $280K and made $75,000 a year. I was like, hell yes. Like, this is way better than real estate. So not knowing anything about buying companies or buying SaaS, like on paper, I'm like, this is a home run. This is better than real estate. And I can put more tenants in it. I'm like, this is a sick deal. And so I started negotiating
that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the alternative, right? So I was like, this is like buying an online house, and I can put unlimited people in it. That was my thought process. And so I don't know how to code, never written a single line of code in my life. I don't know really anything outside of sales. So they showed me their customer list in Stripe, and it was crazy. Like 5 Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
That were publicly traded, like a WordPress engine, Builder Trend, ClickFunnels, Nature's Sunshine, which is publicly traded. I'm sitting there going like, what the hell? Like, why are you guys selling this?
Selling exactly.
So anyways, I went to buy it. And if you guys want to read about the full story, I think I have a link in my Twitter where I did a insanely long, 30-minute read blog post on it. But long story short, I bought it and never looked at the code, never contacted the customers. I was like, listen, you have these insanely good customers. There's no way you could do that with bad code. So I'm not even going to look at the code. I just believe you. And I closed. There's more to the story, but I closed in 30 days. And I've ran that company for 2 years now. Again, it's profitable. And then, so I took it from 75K. I think it's doing 150K now or something like that. Nothing crazy. I mean, honestly, still really small. But I think it has the most potential of anything I've ever touched.
Wow. Okay. Let's, I'm not even sure where to comment on all of this, because first of all, let's just recap real quick. You are coming from a sales background. You haven't really built businesses before. You kind of stumbled into Loup, which, well, basically, and you were, so Sarah?
Said it was a fluke?
Well, yeah, sort of. Well, yes and no. You were really, you were trying to get that fat commission check, right?
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and so you eventually ended up pivoting into a model that became very popular and profitable for you, and you were able to actually acquire enough, gain enough profit that you can use it to purchase another company. So I think you seller financed it, right?
Yeah, I didn't seller finance it. What I ended up doing was I tried to get an SBA loan, and that was going to take 90 days to get approved or something like that, just because of all the background checks and stuff, or all of the credit background, assurance, personal guarantees, that kind of stuff. And I went and had lunch with a friend who I've bought houses with. And he's like, what, you got more houses for me? I want to do more. And I was like, what's funny? I was like, I think I'm going to buy a business instead. And he's like, what? He's like, I went in, and I was kind of there's not really room for you to be in. Like, I mean, like, I got to figure it out. Like, I'm going to operate it. You're definitely not going to operate it. And he goes, dude, let me in. And I was like, I can't, like, I don't have, like, I don't want to split the revenue because then it becomes not a good deal. And he goes, well, let me finance it. And I was like, oh, I mean, I'll explore that. And he goes, well, like, what type of financing terms are you getting? And I told him like where it was going to be with the SBA loan. And I said, listen, if you can close with me in 30 days or less, I was like, then I'll go with you on the financing side. And so the financing wasn't great in terms, but I made the terms. So he's my friend, so I wanted to benefit him. So I basically did a 10-year note at 10% interest, like an insane interest rate. But it didn't matter to me because the business could afford it, right? And so I did a 10-year, 10% interest, and he didn't need 30 days. Like, he was like, yeah, and basically put that money into my account. And then, so the way I closed on that one is I paid the owners 75% up front. And then we did a 90-day like transition period where I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting screwed. And then after 90 days, I gave them the other 25%. And in transparency, like, they're insane for accepting that offer because they didn't know me. And the other thing is, like, none of this was put into like an escrow account or any sort of like mutual savings account. They were like, yeah, I hope this kid has the money. Some random, I think at the time I was like 30-year-old kid. No, it's probably, 30. Yeah. And, yeah. And these two guys who had been running it forever and like built up their baby, just like randomly accepted a deal with a stranger on the internet through a random website called Microacquire. And just crazy how things work because obviously I've not only paid them, but I paid them on the exact time that I said I was going to pay them. So like they didn't really have any, it could have gone bad. It didn't go bad at all. And then from that, I got an email from Andrew Gazdecki at Microacquire. He goes, I can't believe that just closed. I said, what do you mean I can't believe that just closed? He goes, that was the biggest deal we've ever done by far.
You're kidding me.
And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I've seen multi-million-dollar deals on your site. He goes, yeah, they've never closed. He's like, people are just looking for sellers. He goes, yours was the first big deal. He goes, and he goes, yours was actually the first deal that like gave us confidence that we could sell upstream. We didn't have to sell, micro SaaS companies. And again, at the time, he was by himself. There was no one else helping him. And the tool was free. So then I get an email a little bit later and he's raising money to like go full all in on Microacquire. And he goes, do you want in since you were like one of our first early customers? And I said, yeah. So I was lucky enough to become one of like the seed investors in Microacquire. And so since then, like Andrew and I have become good friends. And now Microacquire, I think, has like 10 million in the bank in cash and is killing it. And they acquired acquire.com. So it's not even Microacquire anymore. It's just Acquire. Yeah. That was a good idea on my part. I got lucky again.
Well, yeah, but you were in the right place in the right time. And
yeah,
but I know that I saw you, I think he promoted you a couple of times. He promoted the deal because I've been following his journey as well. And like he's a killer entrepreneur, and like this is, I don't know which business in line like that he really blew up. Andrew, I mean, this is like maybe fourth business or something like that.
So like I think his first business was a business called Business Apps. I think he sold that for like $30 million. And then he started like a couple of niche things and sold them. But I think Business Apps was his big win. So like he was borderline retired at I think 30. And then he was like, selling business apps, I guess, was pretty miserable for him, miserable experience, even though he got a lot of money. So he wanted to make it easier, which is why Microacquire started.
Nice. All right. Well, he's another guy that I want to have on, but
yeah, he's a good one.
No, he's amazing. I love his book. I like he's really an inspiration. But let's go back to the main story. I didn't know that you ended up being a seed investor. That's really neat. That's really neat. That's really awesome.
I think you'd be
So,
shocked. Like I fall into a lot of stuff like extremely lucky.
well, yeah, it's again like you are in a place. I can't remember what Sean says usually from MFM. Like you create your own luck. That's basically what it is. And I keep referencing MFM because like I don't have too many people around me who are MFM like fans as big fans. I know that you are. You have them on your LinkedIn as well. MFM is like My First Million, ran by Sam Parr and
Yeah.
Sean. What's his last name?
Sean Purry. Yeah,
Purry?
They're good guys.
Anyway, and by the way, they just launched merch, so
They
gotta
did?
get in.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I gotta get into that deal. Anyway, okay, so you basically bought Median. You fell in love with the software. At that point, you've got a few like Fortune 500 clients. The thing is growing. It's making money. So what do you do with it? It's like a very well, at least for me, it's been a very unusual like type of situation I haven't heard about. Like, what's the first thing that you do once you buy a company that's making you like 7K, 6K a month?
You get punched in the face basically. Like yeah, I mean, I think the reality is like I was super excited and I had a false sense of security. So like Loup, when I started that, there was 3 years of eating shit, wanted to quit every single day. The only reason I didn't quit was because I wanted my money back. It was not like some giant push through, like I'm a smart person, human being kind of deal. It was like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. The only reason I'm not shutting it off is because then I will have just lost an insane amount of money because I spent it on the development. So it was really in the early days about just getting the money back. And then once I found what I would call product market fit, it went crazy. It was like all of a sudden now my life is easy. Yeah. And so I think my ego had set in where I'm like, I'm good at this. Like I ate the shit for 2 years. I know what works and what doesn't work. And I had this false sense of confidence. So when I bought Median, I'm like, this is great. I'll be able to do the same shit that I did at Loup. And I had like this whole business, like it was really a marketing plan because like the app already existed. It was like, why can't I just take what already exists and sell the shit out of it? And so I had this marketing plan all drawn up and give it like 3 months of like just going at it. And I was like, dude, nothing is
What was the plan?
The plan was rather simple in hindsight. And I'm still doing the plan today.
Good plan.
Yeah. I think just quitting is like, that's the difference. People quit before, like if you just never quit, eventually it'll work. That's basically what I've learned in life. But the plan was Median is an extremely cool app, but no one uses it just by signing up. The way they use it is like you use a chat tool like Intercom Drift or something like that. And then somebody has a question and then you screen share with them. So it's really a support tool, sales and support tool, more support than anything. And it's extremely powerful. But the problem is like no one starts with screen share, right? You wouldn't like get it. You wouldn't just like somebody's on your website, you just start screen sharing and say, hey, what's the problem? Like you don't start there. I like to call it someone has to raise their hand and ask for help first. That could be in the form of like an email, a phone call, a ticket, or a chat. And then you'll do a screen share. So if you think about it that way, we're really an auxiliary product, like a plug-in product. And funny enough, Median had 12 pre-built chat integrations: Intercom, Drift, Live Chat, Talk To. Basically, every chat company in existence we had an integration with. And so I was like, and we had like apps on their market store. So I'm like, all right, Spencer, there are 25,000 Intercom customers. There are 35,000 Drift customers. I'm an idiot. All I'm going to do is spend the next, year of my life emailing every single one of those customers, asking them how we can help. And that was the playbook. And I did that for like I said, 3 months and got freaking nowhere.
Oof.
Um,
Where
like
did you
no,
where did
like
you
no
where
one
did you
signed up.
where did you find the data about them being customers of Drift slash other
You can
company?
just
Like,
Google how many. So here's what my thought process was. Like marketing is kind of like a black hole. That's my thought process. But if I can find the freaking leads, I know what to do. Like I can, if I knew who to call to, if give me a list of who to call and give me 5 years, I'll call them all until the company's big. That was kind of my thought process. Um, and so with that plugin, I'm like, I can call all these customers. Now, here's where this gets interesting. It's really easy to buy lead lists. So, like, I went on Built With and I typed in intercom. If you're not familiar with Built With, it's the coolest website on the internet. And I exported all of Intercom's customers. And then I exported all of Live Chat's customers. And then I took those into Apollo.ai and got all their emails. And so I'm talking hundreds of thousands of emails. And I used Hunter the first time. And I think that's what gave me a bad taste. So Hunter.io, also you can buy emails from. I bought all these emails from Hunter, like over 100,000. And turns out like most of them were entry level employees. So I was getting a lot of like no open, no reply, and kind of shitty responses. And I was like, oh, this is really a beating. And that's when I learned like email is way more of a beating than I thought it was, because like it's always worked for me. Um, and that was basically the playbook. And then I gave up on that playbook and I started like calling intercom and calling live chat and be like, hey, teach me. Like how can I sell to your customer base in a more like, what do you need from me if I'm willing to do anything? And live chat goes, we have an app marketplace where we do revenue share. And this is something, by the way, that like this is cheating a little bit. Like if you find an app that already exists with a bunch of customers, the reason I call that cheating is you have the customers. Like create something that the customers want, and you have the list already. Just sell that to them, right? Like don't create something new and original. Like, and so with live chat, they were like, we'll do a revenue share with you, which sounds like a bad idea, which was basically if we put an app on their marketplace, if we change our listing, they'll take 20% of everyone who signs up. And I was like, damn, that doesn't sound like a good idea. But I did it anyways because I wasn't getting any money. So like, I'm like, whatever, we need to try something new. Well, when you do a revenue share, it's a home run deal because you turn their entire staff into sales reps. Because what happens is we built a live chat app. Live chat bills for our app. So what that means is no sign up. There's no credit card, no create users, create seats. You click add to live chat and we get added to your bill. And so it counts up all the agents that you have, times it by 20. And if just I can get one person to click one button, I can add thousands of dollars in revenue, like monthly revenue. And so what happens is we built that app. It took too long, probably took 6 months. Then we released it. Live chat sent like a newsletter, and we had got like 50 signups. And then we just created a really good relationship with them because they loved it. So even though they only got 20% margin on it, the business as a business recognizes 100% of the revenue because they bill for it. So we added a ton of revenue. And obviously, if you're a business owner, revenue trades at a multiple. So we increased the value of live chat by a lot. And we're still pumped because we get 80% and they sell us in perpetuity. So it's a win for the customer because they get a better feature service that they already want. And then 2, live chat gets everything that they want, more revenue for doing nothing.
And you.
No offense to them, like they're doing something. They got the customers first. They did all the
Yeah, of
work,
course.
honestly. And then we don't have to like hire a sales team or do anything. We just get basically 80% every month and just ride on the back of live chat like a leech. And so we kind of reposition the company like, let's go after live chat customers. And then if we can build out that playbook with live chat, we can take that to intercom, we can take it to Drift. So we've been pretty sole focused on just like adding live chat customers. And we've added, I think, 20 or 30 grand in monthly or not monthly, 20 or 30 grand in annual revenue through live chat.
All
Just by
right.
like them
Yeah.
clicking add to live chat.
You're like at 150 right now, right?
Mm-hmm. That was
Awesome.
where like a lot of the new revenue came from, was adding
Sounds
live
like it.
chat. Yeah.
And can you walk me through what that process looks like today? Like what the sales process looks like today for selling, a live chat customer?
I mean, so it's funny because people hate cold email. And so I just kind of lied to you. We had the live chat customer list. We were cold emailing the shit out of them, and we weren't converting anything. And I think it's just either our messaging was bad or we're hitting the wrong people.
As in like the wrong title?
Yeah, like entry level sales rep is, or whatever, support team doesn't care and doesn't want a new app. And so what we ended up doing, and this is kind of like a secret little hack, is I watched a how to run ads for any company video on Instagram Reels at like 9:00 at night, and it was basically this guy named Ezra Firestone, who dude is an ads guru basically. I mean, he has like an $80 million e-commerce brand selling lip gloss. Not even kidding. And he goes, I know how to run that one ad that works with every business I've ever worked with. And he goes, without explaining it in detail, he goes, here's what you do. Let's say you're selling to, I'll use live chat as an example. Let's say you're selling to live chat. You don't say, hey, we've got this new fancy thing that sells to live chat. What you do is you run an ad that says, here are 5 things you need to know to make the perfect X or to do the perfect Y or whatever. So for live chat, I said 4 live chat apps that will drastically save you time. That was it. And so what happened was, and this is why this is hilarious, I wrote this blog on our site that said 4 live chat apps that will cut your support time in half, I think is what it was. Mm-hmm. And then I took that blog, I put it on a Twitter as an ad, and I targeted everyone who follows live chat. Now, a lot goes on there, right? If you're following live chat or any business on any social platform, you're more than just a customer. Like, you want updates from them. Like, you care, because there's, in my opinion, no reason to follow a business. And so, unless it's like Barstool or something. So anyways, I targeted the live chat customers, and instead of selling like a widget to them, I said, here are 5 live chat apps that'll save you time. If you're following live chat, you're a diehard live chat customer, and you see an ad that says 5 live chat apps that'll save you time, you'll click it because it's benefiting you, not me. Like, that's people don't want to be sold to. And so what happens is a shit ton of people clicked it. Like, the click-through rate was insane. And then in the page itself, I basically put 3 products that are live chat. So I didn't put any competitor. I didn't even put any third-party products on there. I put like other live chat products that they probably already knew about, right? And so they're scrolling through and they're like, okay. Oh, what is this, right? Curiosity kicks in. And in the ad, in the article, I explained what we did. And instead of like pitching them or anything, I put a link to the add to live chat button. And so people would click it, whether they're on their phone or whatever, and it would freaking add it to live. Obviously they would watch the videos we have this app on the live chat marketplace. They would look at it. But if they liked it, it gave them like a 14-day free trial. Like, there's no reason, there's no downside to not clicking it. Yeah. So what happened was, I think we spent $75 in total on that ad, and made something like $1,000 a month in reoccurring revenue, which is obviously an insane ROI. And the reason we turned it off was when we looked at the stats, everyone had saw that ad 11 times. Like, everyone who was gonna see it and saw it on Twitter saw it, and freaking, it was exhausted, is what I would argue. And so, call me a shitty entrepreneur. We haven't put together a new ad strategy yet on that. But that ad was so successful that live chat actually reached out to us, and they're like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And they ended up doing a developer write-up on us on how to market your app.
That's sick, man. Congrats. But it's, I don't know. It feels like, why didn't you just squeeze the shit out of it until it stopped working?
I did. So
Oh,
basically,
okay.
the $1,000 came from like the first like 25, $50 in ad spend or something like that. And then like 25, like I call it, like we weren't spending much. We were spending like a couple, $5, $10, $5 a day, I think. And then like I'm watching it, and then it went like, if you know how like the graph thing, it's like it's killing it, it's killing. All of a sudden it went, poof, and it was like I let it keep running, and I was like, what is happening here? Like, at first I was like, I'm the smartest human being in existence, and then the ad tanked, and I'm like, what is happening? No, no, I'm riding this to the moon. So total emotional roller coaster, and then the reality was like everyone who was going to see it saw it. Meaning, like, live chat customer base that follows live chat on Twitter was only 20,000 people. Those 20,000 people saw that ad 11 times. Basically, if I kept running that ad, they were going to just get pissed at us, right? Like, and so I shut it off. And my original thought process was like, hey, let's just, create a different one. Like, live chat app that'll make you money, or like, and by the way, we've done that, so we've made 10 other versions of that same ad, and we just haven't ran them because I have my SDR in the Philippines, now cold emailing every live chat customer.
Uh-huh. Is that working now?
No.
All right.
Yeah, so like I gotta tell you, business isn't hard. You know what's working, do more of what's working, and when it's not working, shut it off. Don't think you can, And so like that's what I think is funny about business, because like people are full of shit. They know what they need to do. And this is something that we talked about 2 years ago on the live chat or on the masterclass. Everyone to some extent knows what they need to do. If you're giving advice on something, you probably are giving it because you know that you should be doing it, right? And so like me talking about that ad, I should be doing that ad right now. I should not be email marketing these people. And so it's like I know what I need to do. And if I don't do it, then I'm just the idiot. And so that's kind of my whole Twitter brand, by the way, is like, I'm just an idiot. I'm a sales guy. Don't know how to code. Stop having high expectations for me if you're following me. Like, don't listen to me. I'm breaking this shit as I go. I don't know what I'm doing. And the only reason I've had any minor bit of success is because I just keep trying shit and I just don't quit. There's nothing, it's not like anything intelligent or IQ related, or in fact, it's probably the opposite. I think like if I had sat and thought about buying Median, I wouldn't have bought it, because like it makes more sense to keep 280 grand. Like there's, or if I had looked at the code, or if I had a consultant come in and tell me something, like they'll talk me out of it. And so like I know that like I got it. If I'm gonna do something, I gotta do it, and I gotta do it fast. Otherwise, I won't do it. I'll talk myself out of it.
Shit, man. I don't know. Look, I mean, this reminds me of also one of the guys that I follow. They were very religiously, actually. Alex Hormozy, you probably know him.
Yeah.
The dude is always like, you got to do what you got to do, and like the work needs doing, and you already know what you have to do, and probably all the things that like you're avoiding to do and like finding new shiny things to do is probably because you don't want to do the things that you have to do. And I'm just like, why do I like, because I do the same thing. I think everybody does, and I think it's a normal thing. And like I think entrepreneurs are not super smart, intelligent, freaking genius people, unless you're Elon Musk. We're just regular stupid idiots that are like bumping into things and just doing things, right? You were about to say something.
No, I mean, I think you're right. So like every time I pick up my phone and I look at Instagram,
right,
I'm doing that not because like I love Instagram. It's because I don't want to do the thing I know I need to do. It's like during the day when I'm looking at my phone, it's because I don't want to do that thing, whatever it is, email, follow-up, support. I like looking at stuff on Instagram, but I really hate doing the other shit. And I think that's why, when I'm looking at Instagram, it almost makes me feel bad even though I pretty much just follow stuff that'll make me laugh, like comedians, or Hamosi or Sam or Sean. But the reality is, like, it makes me feel bad because I know I should be doing whatever thing that made me pick up the phone in the first place.
What's the plan, dude? What's the plan? We gotta wrap up soon. So I just kind of want to understand, like, do you want to just make back the money that you invested and just sell it off? Do you want to like keep building
with
like
Median?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. There is no plan. Here's the thing: I don't owe anyone anything. I'm bootstrapped. I have no employees. Most of them are contract. And the reason I say that is, like, I think I'll get bored, but right now I feel like I'm living my best life. Like, if I want to go play golf right now, I'll go play golf. Like, I make enough money where, like, I don't necessarily need more money. I was approached to sell Loup this year for like what I thought was an insane amount of money, and then I looked at the numbers and was like, dude, you couldn't give me enough. Like, there's no way that this would make sense, because, like, I don't know. I guess it's just not big enough. But, like, it was like it was a multiple $1 million kind of deal, and I was like, then what? Like, what am I gonna do? I don't know. So I like what I'm doing. I can go on vacations. I can kind of do whatever I want. I take my kids to school. I pick them up early. So my thought process is, if I just do this for 10 years, and then I'll reevaluate. If I'm bored, then I'll sell them. If I get a crazy offer in the meantime, I'll sell them. But, like, I don't necessarily need like more money. And even if I did want more money, one, I probably have a problem. Like, I probably did something where I'm in a bad situation. So that was probably a mistake on my part anyways. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I'm having a good time. I don't have to stress about like having a job or like corporate work or, politics or promotions or like, so I don't know, man. I'm going to probably just do this for 10 years and keep doing the stuff that I enjoy. And, if something happens, it happens. It's going to grow over all of that time. So, what I'd like to see with Median, I would like to get it to like 5-10 million, and sell it for 100. But that's like a pipe dream. Like, I think the reality is I might get it to 1 million and I might sell it for like 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
I don't know. I think you're selling yourself short, because I know what you've been doing and it's been fun to watch. And I remember some videos where you were like hunting Tesla employees, like, oh, I know somebody from Tesla came on the website and stuff like that. And like, the things you do are so creative and inspiring that I'm just like, it's literally just a matter of moment before, like, I think you are gonna explode, meaning like business wise. And so, like, I don't know, like, I might be full of shit, but I feel like that's the case. And I know that you blew up on Twitter, even though like you were like, I remember you had like 1 like 2 likes, like, and then just boom, like you.
Yeah, I'll say in like the last kind of couple of years, I've kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people, because it all started with like I quit my job. Like, I was running Loup and had another job, which I was still making insane money because they didn't know I was running Loup. So I had a full-time job while running Loup, and Loup was doing multiple 6 figures at that point, because I was just too scared to work for myself. When I quit, I was like, wait a second, I can say, like, there's no politics anymore. Like, I can just say whatever I want and I don't give a shit, right? Like, if people are going to stop following me, or, I can't get fired. Like, and if people don't want to work with me because they don't like my beliefs, then I didn't want to work with them in the first place. So I just started like saying how I felt, and that went crazy. So like on Twitter, I went from, in like 6 months, like 30 followers to like 13,000 followers. In that time, like, I bought Median. When I bought Median, I met Andrew Gazdecki, got invested in MicroAcquire. And then from there, I met Sam Parr, like, on a call. And then Sam and me, Sam, like I wouldn't say I'm super close with Sam, but I did become kind of close with his business partner, Joe. It's like Joe and I kind of became close, and then they invited me into Hampton. And even before Hampton, I met Sean Purry on like a Zoom call. And yeah, man, it just like overnight. I say overnight. It's been like a couple of years, but like basically met all of the talking heads that I kind of wanted to meet, and it's just been fun. And it's just I don't know. Part of it is probably because I'm loud and obnoxious, and
I think it's also a huge part because you are just yourself. Like you don't give a fuck, and that's really nice to see and nice to feel and nice to be around. Even though like people who don't like you are not gonna like you anyway, but
yeah.
you know, people who really enjoy that genuine type of communication are going to be drawn to it, and so I think that's why it's working. I know for a fact that there is a third business involved in everything.
Yeah.
I know we've got a few more minutes, but I do want to
Yeah.
ask you like what happened. How are you going to run 3 companies now?
Yeah. So the cliff notes on that, which you always say, I've been saying cliff notes a lot because in college there was like, if you had got a book report and you didn't want to read the book, you could go to this website called Cliff Notes. But anyways, the short version is Loup is kind of reached its max capacity. So like as a company, we have 60% market share, 60 or 70% market share. And the other 30 to 40% market share know we exist, and they're just kind of waiting to sign up. I might be overselling that, but like I said, when I find the customer list, I email all of them. So like I know they know me. And so the thought process with that was like that company's at the end, not the end of its road. I think there's a lot we can still do there, but like to open up the marketplace, I needed to have a product that could be sold to more people. And so what we did was with Loup is to open up the marketplace. We created a whole new company because we're going to sell to outside of our existing marketplace, new brand, but doing somewhat of the same thing. And so, which we knew the market already wanted. And so that company is called One Phone. It's taken me kind of 2 years to build it. And way too much money. It actually failed, just like, kind of like Loup did. In the first year it failed and I put it on hold. And the only reason it didn't completely die was because I have that thought process of like, just like a little freaking penny pincher where I'm like, damn it, I don't want to lose that money. So I left the website up. Well, as I left the website up, people kept subscribing to it. And so I like got an email list. And then one day earlier this year, I had 2 different companies call me and offer me $100,000 to build the product I'd already started building separately, not knowing each other. And I like basically turned them down because they wanted ownership in it. And I was like, I just turned down like $250,000. Like maybe I should go back and rebuild it.
Yeah.
And so like, that's what I did. And so like I typically have moved my life to like, I don't build stuff until people pay me first, because that's like the fastest way for me to lose. Is like build stuff that people ask for, because people don't actually want the stuff they ask for. They want the stuff they're willing to take their credit card out for. And $250,000 was like a good sign that I should probably build it.
That's right. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's really nice. We are basically at the end of it. But I want to talk with you about these things a little bit more. But anyway, maybe we get another chance.
Yeah, we can do another one. I gotta actually run because, funny enough, I have a Hampton core session Zoom call that started a minute ago. So I'll probably get in trouble if I don't join that.
All right. Don't get it on the bad side of Sam Park. Okay.
Yeah, he would be like, "Hey, you missed your session."
That's right. Look, before you go, where do people find you? Twitter.
Twitter. You can follow me on LinkedIn, but like I get the best love on Twitter. I put the most effort into Twitter.
Love it, dude. I really appreciate you. Love chatting with you. Say hi to your Hampton friends, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Appreciate it. Have a good one.